Welcome back, everyone. So today we're looking at Lori Vallow again. So I want to first start off by saying that from here on out, I will refer to her only as Lori Vallow, even though she wants to be referred to as Lori Daybell. As of today, July 1st, there is still no record anywhere that we have been able to find online or in person. And just this past week, I went to Rexburg, Idaho, and while I was there, I went there for the reasons to speak with people about this case, but also to see if a wedding license had actually been filed anywhere in the counties surrounding Rexburg or Salem, Idaho. I can tell you right now, for a fact, that no wedding license has been applied for or received by Lori or by Chad in Rexburg or Salem, Idaho. Did they file for one in Washington State? No. Did they file for one in Oregon? No. California? No. If they filed for a wedding license, it would have to have been either in Utah or Arizona, which do not report online. You would have to go and file a Freedom of Information request, and that could take months. But now, we're in the 7th month of the year, and still, no wedding license has been applied for. Could they have applied for it in Hawaii? They could have, but it would have to be underneath religious exemptions for them not to actually release the information. So she will be referred to as Lori Vallow. So as we all know now, Lori has received a couple of additional charges. And then after I talk about these, I'm going to talk about the charges that have kept her in jail up to this point. So the two new charges she received are both felonies. And they are a little bit more severe than Chad's, than what was originally leaked from the actual prosecuting attorney's office there. Her charges have conspiracy in them where Chad's don't. They may change Chad's later on, but right now it is she conspired with Chad to actually do these things. The charges are to destroy evidence, alter or conceal evidence. In the case, against just JJ and Ty Lee. No additional charges have been filed for the murder of Charles or her involvement maybe with Tammy's death or with anyone else. And that goes for Alex as well. But she has been they added the conspiracy part to conspire with Chad. And they actually, when they read off a summary of the charges, the judge pointed out that these were conspiracy, which both felonies has a maximum of 5 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. The part that is interesting about these charges themselves is the conspiracy, because it's easier to prove in a court of law if you can make the actual jump and prove conspiracy. You can also choose, it's very close to proving conspiracy to commit murder, conspiracy to hire someone to commit murder, that it's not that much more to that. So as opposed to going to, you abandon your children to actual murder, that's a huge jump, and that's what they've made now. Now it's the murder charges very well could come next. All right, the charges that have held her in jail on a $1 million bond. Yes, the state of Idaho can drop those charges that she has been held on, and then get rid of the bail and everything, because now they know where Ty Lee and JJ are. They don't have to. They can keep them, or they can actually go in and file for what's called a change of circumstances of the charges and charge her with a lesser charge of abandonment still. And they haven't done anything. The two original charges are still on the file for her with the actual county jail. So she is currently being held with these two felonies $1 million bond. The other two charges, $1 million bond. So she is there on technically right now 4 charges, but they could amend and drop the other charges or amend them to other additional charges. Okay, moving on. So the next part here is I'm going to be answering questions that have been asked by people in the comment section. And so if I read your question off, great. If I haven't, it's not that I'm ignoring it. I've just been very busy, and like I said, I was out of town actually talking to people about this case in person. Total, I drove around 1,200 miles to actually go talk to people. I wasn't able to take any video in front of the actual home there in Salem. They had the road blocked off by sheriffs on both ends. So the closest I got to the actual home was maybe about 60 yards before I had to turn around and go back. So I'm sorry. And the people that I went there to speak with, I wouldn't even have mentioned it on the live stream the other day if it wasn't for someone who asked me a direct question and I was responding to their question. So let's get into the questions that have been asked. Why didn't Alex have a burner phone like the rest of them? They're referring to Chad and Lori. Lori and Chad had burner cell phones for each other, and they want to know, why didn't Alex have one? The fact is, right now, the police are not saying if Alex had an additional phone, a burner cell. They're not saying if he did or if he didn't. At this point, we just don't know. Anyone out there, and I have seen the actual videos, and people have been nice enough to send me the links to those. I can't confirm that he had a cell phone, a burner cell phone, nor can the people who have made those videos talk about the fact that Alex had a burner cell phone or not. But they are talking about that he did. I don't know where they're getting that information. It's not factual as far as I know, because I can't confirm it, so I won't cover it. So that answers that question about Alex, if he had a burner cell phone or not. Next question was, who is the mysterious man who was seen outside of the Daybell home on KTVB Channel 7? Well, that would be none other than Emma's husband, Joseph Murray. Emma and Joseph are currently residing in Chad's home. The next question was asked by the same person, and then about a dozen other people as well. Why hasn't the home been closed off as a crime scene? Well, that's a good question. It's a very good question, a very valid question, along with who is the man who's on the television station that they caught standing out in front of the home. The house wasn't considered a crime scene and is not still considered a crime scene. They have searched it. They searched it back, when the children disappeared. They searched it when they found the children's remains, and they searched it again yesterday. Why is it not? Why are people allowed to live in it? Because it's not a crime scene. The crime scene is actually, they're focusing on the backyard and the outbuildings, the barn and the other shed. Not only for instruments, but they believe that that is where the actual crimes and the bodies may have been stored before they were actually buried. And I want to point something out. There are 2 different areas in the backyard. This is beside the point. There are 2 different areas. JJ's body was found closer to the pond, the retaining pond area, and Tylee's was found closer to the actual fire pit. Tylee's is the only body of the 2 that was actually found with any type of burn marks or burned remains. Now, I've seen the link and I've received a link and I've watched part of that video, and it's disgusting. And I told you that these trolls, these people who are going to feast on the rumors and the depravity of this entire case, were coming. They're going to do it. They're going to drag this case through the mud forward and backwards for views and to make money for themselves. They're going to do it. I told you it was coming, and they're doing it now. They're already doing it, and they have been doing it since before the children were found. But anyways, getting back to the questions. Do you believe that Melanie Gibbs knew where the children were, or that they were dead? I believe that there is a large portion of her interview with East Idaho News Network that has never aired. And there are certain topics that were covered in that she was told not to talk about from the police. So I think she knew that she was going to talk to the police. They said, don't talk about this, or this. There are huge time gaps in just the part where she was in the close inner circle with them, and that she has skipped over if you actually watch the interview and you try to make a timeline of what she's talking about. Next, who is Julie Rowe, and what did she know about Chad? Julie Rowe is a writer who worked closely with Chad Daybell in the past, writing a book about her visions that she had in a end of life crisis, and visions that she had in her near death experience. Her and Chad, not only was he more of like a mentor for her, but he helped her along the lines of self-publishing. But she also corresponded with Chad for quite a bit, and in emails that he wrote to her, released not released, but it wrote in February and in May of 2019, he said, "I am working to keep my marriage together." These were bringing up the fact, not that he's trying to get with her, but that he was trying to save his marriage, and that is why he was unattainable, why he was busy, not like attainable like in the way that Lori attained him, but busy and not as frequently able to respond back to emails and messages. Now, that was in February and in May of 2019. So, that's who she is. And that's going to be it for the end of this, except for one more part. I've seen a lot of people comment in the comment section, and not just one person, and they very well may just be trolls, who commented they never used the fire pit, they never used the fire pit button fall. I call BS on the fire pit theory because there was snow in the ground when the children disappeared. You have the internet, ladies and gentlemen. You do. You're watching this on the internet. You have some type of search engine. Go back and put the dates that last time that Tylee was seen and the date that JJ was last seen. Check the weather reports for Rexburg, Idaho and Salem, Idaho on those dates. Check the week prior to JJ disappearing all the way through and give it yourself an extra week. And tell me if there is snowfall on the ground in Idaho. Tell me, again, come back and comment below if there was snow on the ground the week prior to Tylee disappearing and going to Yellowstone, and then all the way up to probably a week afterwards. There isn't any. Snowfall in Idaho had been off and on, and had been warmer than any other previous year. They received a lot of rain, a lot of sleet, but the snow didn't come until around the first part of December, November. And then it melted, and then it came. So yeah, there's definitely snow on the ground. But it was also 62 degrees the day that they came and investigated the home for the disappearance of JJ that you see on the news. 62, and there was snow on the ground. The snow was melting very rapidly. You'll notice there's not a bit of snow on the roadways, but in the yard there's snow. and in the field there's snow. But when did the children disappear? That gives you an actual time frame. They were either killed and stored in an outbuilding, or they were killed later and then their bodies were buried before the snowfall. Because when he wrote Tammy about the raccoon and everything else, that was when there was no snow on the ground. Look at the date of the actual text. Again, you have the internet. You don't have to believe me, but you should probably believe the weather forecasters who deal with the weather in that area. Then, if I'm wrong, comment below. Tell me I'm full of shit. See, think outside the box. Think for yourself. That's all I've ever asked. I'm not here to try to convince you of anything. I am here to give you the factual information so you can make the decision for yourself. Because that's who I am, and that's my promise to you. Thank you for watching.